Welcome to Spiraling Soul, a podcast where we merge spirituality and psychology. I'm Casey, and that's Emma. And today we are just going to stream of conscious talk about how we are kind of starting a new beginning and entering a new chapter of our lives and kind of all our thoughts and feelings that come along with it. We're also going to change our format going forward to more stream of conscious and less structured. Maybe structured will come back in the future, but we're just going to kind of talk about what's on our mind. And usually what's on our mind has to do with spirituality and psychology. So, anyways, how's Portland?
Yeah, so I went to Portland this past weekend. It was my first time, well, kind of my first time out west, and it was super fun. It felt magical there, and I love the vibe in Oregon. Like, for example, this random lady that sold me a headband just started talking to me about all this spiritual stuff without even like knowing that I was into
Oh
it
my
already.
gosh.
I don't know what she was saying because she asked where we were from and what we were doing there, and we're like, oh, we're visiting. And then she's like, you guys should go to the Portland Japanese Garden. I used to do shrooms there with my friends all the time, and we'd wear flower crowns. We'd wear flower crowns and dance around, and it was just the most beautiful time, and I highly recommend it. I just thought it was so funny because, like, I barely said 2 words to this lady, and she's just like, yeah, welcome, and here you go, here's a piece of me. So yeah, I definitely liked the witchy vibes out there. One of my coworkers told me it was going to be witchy out there, and it did not disappoint. I also saw repeating numbers like literally every 30 minutes there. It was insane. Like literally everywhere I looked there was a repeating number. Our rental car had a repeating number on it. Like it was actually crazy because I haven't seen them that much recently, but when I was there, it's just everywhere. And I've been like looking to possibly move. Still in the works, but we visited there just to see if it would be a place that we would vibe with. And I don't know, to me that was a sign, and it was crazy because I was thinking like, wow, I think I could move here. And then everyone knows Portland is super overcast all the time. And as soon as I said that, I saw a repeating number, and then the sun came out and made a rainbow, and I was like, oh, it's a sign. And I started tearing up. And Jake is like, oh, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just so happy right now. And
I'm
then we
more
stopped
than
and got
okay.
lunch. Yeah, I was feeling so good. And then we stopped and got lunch, and the girl that served us was just the nicest person ever. And I felt so, I just noticed there's so much community there and so much, I don't know, there just seemed to be a lot of love when I went there.
That's in community is what you're looking for, and it sounds like it's the type of community that you want. Like they're friendly, they're open, they're just authentic and being themselves. And it's funny that you said something about rainbows because recently I told my angels and like spirit guides, and I'm like, hey, like if you're trying to communicate with me, communicate through rainbows. So, and you saw a rainbow.
Oh,
so maybe that's
my
a
gosh.
sign.
That's awesome. Also, side note, and by the way, this is how our stream of consciousness episodes are probably going to be. It's just side note.
And then eventually looping around to what we originally talked about. So,
yep, that's just how it goes here. But yesterday I saw a cloud formation on my walk, and it looked exactly like a dragon. Like
what?
And the sun was shining behind it, and it was like orange and yellow, and it literally looked like the most clear dragon cloud formation I've ever seen in my life. And I looked it up, and apparently it means power. So
Ooh.
I don't know. It just felt like a sign.
And the repeating numbers, I've also been seeing them like crazy. And I've been seeing 222 a lot. And I don't know if you remember, but that when I was moving to Atlanta for a boy, on my way to go, I was seeing 222 like crazy, like on my way up there, on the clocks, on the signs. My hotel room number was 222, and it means like you're in alignment, like you're on the right path. I've been seeing that a lot, but I'm wondering, was that my angels telling me like, hey, beware, beware, beware? Because I'm also, I guess, talking to a boy that, my therapist thinks I shouldn't be talking to right now. And I keep seeing 222. And the last time I saw that was moving for the boy that I shouldn't have moved for. But I learned a lot about it, and I made some good friends, and I had cool experiences out of moving there. And it did spark like a whole new version of me. So, was it really bad? So, I'm taking it as a good sign.
Well, that sparks two thoughts for me. One, I don't think we've talked about angel numbers on this podcast yet, so I just thought we'd both go over our view of them so that the listener, if you don't know what they are, that you can kind of take our opinions and always take what resonates. And then my second thing I was gonna ask, I forgot, but we'll get to the first question.
For me, angel numbers, they're repeating numbers. Typically, they're repeating in threes or fours. So like 111, 222, 3333, no, 333, 444, all the way up until I don't even know when it ends. I guess 19s. And I feel like whenever I'm seeing a lot of them, it's just that I'm in tune and I'm in alignment and I'm on the right path because I'm noticing them. And I feel like it's my spirit guides telling me, like, everything's good. You're on the right path. We're here. We're protecting you. And like when I don't see them a lot, I do feel out of alignment and less spiritual and less in tune with the world around me. So I think they're good signs. And most other people do. But I've seen online, like, each number has a different meaning, but you don't have to use the meanings from online. You can assign your own meanings to it and let your spirit guides know that, like, okay, 111 means this, 222 means this. And then when you see it, it's just like a confirmation to yourself that, okay, whatever I was just thinking about was it's confirmed. Or if I'm going to a certain place, it's confirmation that I should be going there. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm a huge believer that whatever you feel is right for you. So if you look up repeating numbers online, they all have a certain meaning to them. Personally, I don't really follow those meanings. I know a lot of people do, and it brings them a lot of comfort and feeling good about it, which if that works for you, then go for it. For me, I think that was just too much for me to remember. Like, I like to look at things in a psychological standpoint as well as spiritual. So I've kind of come up with a conclusion for myself, which is that, and it's kind of similar to yours, repeating numbers are basically just a little sign that you're being present because you're noticing it. And so you're like fully in the present moment. And even if you're not in the present moment, it can pull you into the present moment because you see that and you're like, oh, things are okay. It's like a little wink from the universe, like, hey, we're still here for you. And it could be any number. Again, I don't assign meaning to each of them. But yeah, it's really just a nod from the universe and from myself, even just that I'm on the right path. I remembered what I was going to say about what you were saying, like bad meanings versus good meanings. Life is a lot of gray, and the meaning of life is to experience the full range of everything, bad and good, in quotations, bad, because it's not really bad. It's just an experience we don't like, but we still have to go through sometimes. So if you're seeing repeating numbers, first of all, it's not something to be scared of. Like, don't see a repeating number and get scared, like, oh, I'm on the wrong path or something, because fear is not where, once you start feeling fear, you know that it's not true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When you see it, you should feel a feeling of connection and like self-awareness and self-assurance, like, okay, things are okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, for your situation, like, you saw that going out to Georgia, you're right, like, you did, yeah, maybe it was a learning lesson in some ways, but you also experienced a lot of cool things out there. Like, you took acting classes, you made friends, and you're also, just from what I know about you and your astrology too, like, you crave adventure. And so even though it was not great in the end, it was a story, and you still had fun, and you still had an adventure. So there's always multiple sides of it.
Yeah, and now I'm on TV for like 5 seconds next to a pole in the background. So yeah, I don't know. I think it was worth it. But that's a good point. Like, for me, if I'm seeing a certain number like a lot, every time I see a repeating number, I don't like look up what the meaning is. But if I'm seeing it like crazy, then I'll look it up, and then I'll be like, okay, well, that's the meaning for me now. Like for 222 and even 1010, when I see that, if I'm seeing that a lot, there are multiple periods in my life where I was seeing those numbers a lot. And so it kind of gives me like a hint at what might be coming in the future, or like, okay, you're entering this kind of phase in your life again.
Yeah, you can find meaning in it. Like, I've never really looked up the meaning of repeating numbers specifically, but I have a feeling that 999 in my mind means the finale, like, in a positive way, an ending that's much needed. And part of the license plate when I was in Portland was 999 on our rental car, and that just seemed like a sign of, like, okay, this could be it. So
You know, I could see that because 1010 was like when you finally take the leap into a new beginning. That's what 1010 means for me, because that's when I was like, oh, I was seeing it on check numbers, on like invoice numbers, on like freaking everything. I was an accountant, so I was seeing numbers all the time. So that,
yeah.
take that with a grain of salt. But that's when I was like, okay, I was taking the leap. I'm getting clients. I'm taking the tests that I needed to take. I'm making the LLC. That's what 1010 is for me. And so if 99's right before that, I could see how that's like, it's an ending of something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our own interpretations of it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, it's like, some people might think it's a message from the universe. Some people, like me, might think it's a combo of that and also just your brain seeing patterns. But, like, it's still a good thing, because it means that your brain is seeing a pattern, and then every time you see that number, your brain connects to positivity and love and connection. So it's like it's creating that pathway. So, even if it's not something supernatural, it's still positive, because your brain sees like 222, and then you're like, oh, I'm okay. Like, I'll be okay. I'm feeling positive right now. So it's creating that neural pathway. Yeah. So no matter what you think about it, it can all be good.
There's two sides to everything. Like, there's duality in everything in life. And I feel like some people might be like, oh, well, maybe you're actually not on the right path. And like, maybe you're destroying your life and you're seeing these repeating numbers. And now you're just tricking yourself into thinking that you are on the right path and you're doing the right thing and everything's good. And to that, I say, if that's what feels right in the moment and you need to blow up your life in the moment, then that's what's right in that moment for you. Sometimes you have to blow up your life. Sometimes you have to make mistakes in order to get the learning lessons that you need to learn. And like, even if you're having a horrible time and a horrible experience, you're still having an experience that's going to shape you and that you're going to learn from and that you're going to look back on and be like, I fucking lived. I'd rather say I made so many mistakes, but I had fun and I lived. I lived life, and no one can tell me I'm boring and that I didn't get like the full range of what life has to offer.
I mean, yeah, it's just a part of life to have those things. You can't be perfect. You can't do everything perfectly. A lot of things are a learning lesson. To me, I always say this, it comes down to like, as long as you're not harming anyone else in the process intentionally or harming yourself intentionally, like repeatedly. Like, it's one thing if you keep having to relearn a lesson over and over and like not quite getting it the first several times, but it's another thing of like doing it out of a place of self-hate. Like, I just think it should be rooted
Yeah.
in love in the end and connection and like respect for yourself and others.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. You said like maybe it takes you several times to learn a lesson. I feel like I'm starting a new beginning, but I also feel like I am going through a lesson that I have learned over and over and over again, and I really tried. I made a good effort to set the boundary and be like, no, I am done with this. I am moving on. And then just part of me, it just didn't feel right. I wasn't ready yet. And sometimes you just have to see if that lesson is going to be the same. And I'm okay if I get hurt, you know? At least I'm living, at least I'm having fun. But it's not a lesson that's gonna ruin me or ruin other people around me. So why not? I think it's gonna be different because I have a different mindset toward it and I'm more detached from it.
I feel like Casey and I have both experienced recently a shift. Like, things feel very different recently. And just for me, looking at my overall life, yeah, I have made a couple lifestyle changes here and there in the past couple months, but a lot of it has been internally. I'm just viewing things differently. And maybe it's the fact that we're 26 and our brains are developing and we're problem solving better. Or it could be something else, Pluto moved into Aquarius recently, and a lot of people are saying that's causing a huge shift. If you are interested in astrology and stuff like that, we'll definitely be talking more about that. And more recently, I'm looking at things in a different lens and letting things go a lot quicker than I used to. And I don't know why that could be. I mean, I mentioned a couple options of why it could be, but I feel like Casey and I are just going into a new dimension or something lately.
We've been talking about this shift happening for, I feel like it's been like a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a hot
It's been
minute.
over a year.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute where we're like, something is coming. There's going to be a big change in our lives. Like something big is happening. I can feel it. I can feel like right now, I feel like we've moved into it, the new, I guess, timeline or the new reality. And at least for me, I feel like I have one foot in my past reality and one foot in this new reality. It's like my past and my new are fighting this whole time, and I'm like, no, I should do this, or in the it's chaos right now, but I love it.
I've been feeling that too, like past versions of myself that, would demonstrate more, traits that I'm not so proud of. Like, I don't know, just doubting certain things or beating myself up over certain things or jumping to conclusions in a way that I know isn't right. This is what healing is. sometimes it never fully goes away, but you get quicker and quicker at noticing it and then not believing it. For example, like I had this feeling of extreme self doubt and then being hard on myself about something I was doing. I kind of didn't do it the way I wanted to, wasn't good at it, and somebody had to witness it, and I didn't like that. And I started feeling a lot of self doubt, like I should just give up on this thing. And then I caught myself being like, no, why am I talking bad about myself? We don't do that anymore around here. And so I caught it a lot quicker.
And we're not perfect. Like, you are allowed to mess up. You should mess up, because if you're never messing it up, it means you're never taking the risk and you're not putting yourself out there and you're not being authentic. Like, it's okay to make mistakes and you should.
And it is scary to do these new things because you've never done that yet. So you don't know what it that holds, and that's scary. That's anxiety inducing to not know. That's why people hang out in their negative emotions about themselves, because they don't know what's beyond that. It's scarier to think of getting better, challenging yourself, than it is to stay in the same spot, even if it sucks staying in the same spot. But yeah, taking that leap, that's what this shift, like this new dimension that we're in, that's what it really feels like to me, is just facing fears, taking the risks, challenging ourselves to do the things that we're scared of.
Yes. And like not holding ourselves back anymore. A lot of it feels like, there's this cliff, and it's like, in your mind, if I jump into the water, I've seen all these other people do it, it's safe, no one has died here, I should just take the leap. But of course it's scary because it's really high, and your brain is like, no, 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 we could die here. I don't know, it's so scary taking the leap, and that's what it feels like, doing things differently.
Yeah, something that if you're feeling like you're going through a transition period like us, and you feel like you're not quite, you got one foot in the past version of yourself, one foot in the future version of yourself, and it's like you know that things are getting better and gonna change, but you still are holding on to some old toxic habits or things that you don't want to continue doing in the future. What I started to tell myself is like, okay, I'm doing this thing and this is the last of it. Like bedtime procrastination. I stay up super late and like refuse to go to bed, and then I don't get enough sleep. And I'm like, no, I'm spending my last couple weeks, couple months, whatever, enjoying this late night time before I finally shift into going to bed at a good time and getting ample sleep. Like, I'm just enjoying this last period of time. It's like, don't put pressure on yourself or like feel guilty for not stepping into this new life immediately. No. It's like you're just enjoying the last couple moments of it. On the other side of that is when you're trying to start a new habit and you start it for a week and then you fall off it. Instead of being like, dang, I couldn't stick with that, I guess I just failed at it. Instead, think, I'm just practicing this habit for when it's fully a part of my life.
Yeah.
And this is just like practice right now to see what it will be like in the future.
I like that perspective. If you're like us, or at least for me, I am a full send type of person. I go big or I go home. I go to extremes. Like, either I'm doing it or absolutely not. I'm not doing it. So I will make a whole routine and a whole schedule and be like, this is my new life and I'm going to follow this. And tomorrow I'm adopting this new version of me, and then expect myself to be able to do it consistently. That's not how you form habits, and that's not how you form routines unless you were dropped off at military school and you have someone yelling at you and forcing you to do it. Like that's not how you do it. You take baby steps. You do one routine and be like, okay, like every single night I'm going to wash my face. And then you get confidence because you're like, okay, I did that and now it's in my routine. And then you add another one on top of it. It takes baby steps, it takes time. It's not going to change right away. And you can't beat yourself up for it not changing right away. That's not how we work. We're not computers.
Even if you can alter the tiniest little part of your day, that is doing something. Like, even if you go to bed 10 minutes earlier than you normally do, that's still a change. And then maybe you can gradually increase that to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Because it's so hard for people to just, full send it straight off the bat. Like, because that's such a shift. What my mind is going to is visualizing that there's infinite dimensions. So just picture yourself, you're in this dimension right now, and you want to get to a dimension where you write a book. And you try to start a habit like, okay, I'll write for 3 hours every day. But then you fall off it really fast because that's going from 0 to 3 hours. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump to get to that timeline. So you got to like inch it forward a little bit, like hop to the next closest timeline, which is, okay, I spend 10 minutes of my morning writing. And then you jump closer and closer and closer. And the more you integrate these tiny little things, the closer you're going to get to your goal. Because after a while, it'll just become second nature in your life, and you won't even realize that that's something you used to not do. Like, my life today looks so different from my life a year ago, and I barely even noticed because I just did it so gradually and just like integrated these little things, and now it's just part of my life and it feels like nothing. So I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is full send overnight. Which we've all had those urges at like 3 a.m. I'm like, I'm gonna be different in the morning, I'm gonna change my life. I've done that so many times and it just doesn't work. But it's more like, okay, it's doable for me to drink a glass of water every morning. Like, that's doable. I'm still not perfect all the time. But that's okay. It's okay to not be perfect.
You have to keep reminding yourself, because I know probably in 1 month I'm going to make a whole new routine for myself and not follow it again and then get mad at myself again.
And it's also good to look at the why. Why do you want to up level as a person? Why do you want to change your life in this way? Because if you're just doing it because all the gurus online are saying to do that, then it's like maybe your why needs to change. Like, if you're trying to work out every day, is your why to take care of your body and your vessel and like feel good in your body? Or is your why because everyone online is saying that you need to and you're getting that external validation?
That's one of my struggles right now, is I know I should go to the gym because it makes me feel good and it gives me more energy and my brain just feels better and I feel inspired, and the gym is so good for me, yet I have so much resistance to going recently.
I also feel like I want to work out more, and for the right reasons too. Like, yeah, like to take care of my body because I feel good when I do it. But it's so hard getting there, especially if you have ADHD. I found out I have it very recently, like a month ago.
Like, for so long we thought you had ADHD. It was just recently that it was like confirmed.
Like, it was recently confirmed. Like, my main struggle with it is just getting the ball rolling, like getting things started. I also have a lot of other things that come along with it, like not being able to focus on a conversation, or I'm like very late a lot of the time because of my time management. And by the way, finding out this diagnosis just provided so much insight to my life and is making me look at life super differently. So I think even this diagnosis is like propelling me into the next chapter of life, because I'm looking at my the way I function in my brain very differently than I was before now that I know that I have it. But yeah, I just brought that up because I feel like that's a part of can be a part of the struggle of like changing your life.
Yeah. And it's part of your new like chapter of your life. This new chapter started for me in like January. I'm like going through a breakup right now, and it kind of was happening in January. And so it's been a weird adjustment, just I don't know, navigating that and getting used to that. But I feel like I've made lots of revelations about myself and how I operate in relationships or even just view myself in general. I feel like I'm showing up differently in the world because of it, and I feel more confident and capable, and like I can better I'm learning to better set boundaries with myself. And then I'm starting yoga teacher training soon. Like it's going to feel different because I'll have a different schedule, and my focus will be on something that I'm passionate about, and it is working out. So I will get my working out fix, and my brain will be all good, and I'll be in the meditation mind and all inspired to start something new. So I think like one big thing with like feeling like you're in a new timeline is just like making the commitment and taking the leap to learn something new or take a class or get a new job or just do something that drastically changes your everyday or even week to week, because it will make it feel different. And sometimes we just need a big change in our lives.
Yeah, I agree. It on one hand, I was talking about before like making tiny little changes in habits, but then there's a whole other piece to it. Like it really does help to make drastic changes or just start something new. Like for Casey, she's taking the yoga classes, but also experienced a breakup, which is a new feeling, new energy. We also started this podcast, which is
Oh yeah.
very new. um, for me, I found out my ADHD diagnosis, which I think is really shifting a lot for me and my understanding with myself and how I function in this world and how I like live my day-to-day life. It's really changed a lot and given me a lot of perspective. And I've also started taking classes to learn new things, like dance classes and music classes. So I'm getting back into learning new things, and I think it's really been opening my mind. Like for example, dance. I didn't want to take dance classes. I got roped into them, but I have been absolutely loving it. I'm not a dancer. I haven't danced since I was a kid, but it's opening my mind and my perspective to so many new things and making new connections in my brain, even, trying to coordinate my steps and things like that. And so, yeah, it's like for habits, I think you got to start small. You can't change habits overnight, but to push it even further, like quicker, it's more like the big life events and the learning new things. Yeah, new things into your life. Sometimes you don't even ask for it to happen and it just comes. And that's a good opportunity for you to take that, like the newness energy, and really get down to like, okay, what do I want going forward? And how does this fit into my new life?
I feel like also when you're starting or even wanting a new reality, it can be scary and it can almost feel like there's no hope. Right now, I'm really trying to surrender and trust the universe that everything's going to be okay, because I know when I'm operating out of this fear, I'm not making the best like judgments because I'm operating from a space of lack, and I'm just like, okay, well, I need to hold on to this one thing because there's not going to be something better, or even like well, maybe I should go back to the old, like for bookkeeping recently. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should go back to my bookkeeping business and get more clients because there's no way that I'm going to be making money in a way that I like and that a way that I love, and it would just happen. I could get all the things I want faster if I just went this other route, but I know in the long run then I will be stuck in this one career which I've been thinking about over like for a hot minute and dreading and ruminating about. It will just keep me in that feeling when I should just trust that it's going to work out because other people are making money in ways that they like. And I think that's my biggest thing is like that I'm trying to deconstruct is not having to be productive all the freaking time. Like I base so much of my worth on how much money I make and how productive I am and what like I'm achieving. Like all that is such a masculine energy, and I don't like being in that energy. Like sometimes you need the masculine energy to take action and get stuff done. But I want to be in my feminine energy where I'm just being and existing and my worth is just I'm a good person. I'm fun to be around. I'm worthy just because I'm worthy. I'm worthy just because I'm here. I don't need to achieve all this stuff in order to be worthy in society or for people to like me. So that's like a big thing I've been deconstructing for like a year and a half, 2 years. And I'm getting faster and faster at catching it, but it's still deeply ingrained in me. Yeah, that's why I think sometimes when you're transitioning into a new reality, it can be hard because you're programmed in your brain to think a different way or you have these limiting beliefs. So, yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes it so hard. It's so important to just get in touch with the why, like we talked about. Why, like what's motivating, or what point do you want to get to? And even if you don't know exactly where that is, like for me, for example, I have some certain goals that I want in life, but there's a lot of the future that I just have no idea where I want it to go. Like I have so many different ideas, there's so many different plans that like I just don't know where my life is going to go in some ways. I think it's better to get in touch with like what do you want out of where you're going? Do you want abundance? Do you want cool experiences? Do you want connection? Do you want more community in your life? Do you want to learn new things? Like for example, the classes I'm taking, I don't know where it's really gonna go with that, but what I want out of these classes is to learn and grow in new activities and like learn new things. So I'm getting a lot out of it just because that's my intention with it. So set your intention. I
Mm-hmm.
think is super important with moving forward. And even if you feel scared, I feel like the right things will come to you when they do. Sometimes you won't be expecting it. Sometimes you'll have to take inspired action yourself. Even if you feel scared, it's not like fear, it's more like an excitement that you're misinterpreting as fear. Even if it's scary, you're going to feel a little more at ease. And that's why it's important to listen to your body. Like decisions I made that ended up being so wrong, I was doing it out of fear or like on a time crunch. I think that's a really big thing for me. If it
Mm-hmm.
feels rushed, then it's to in my opinion it's probably not right because everything comes
Yes.
in its own time. Whereas the right things, even if they've been scary, it just feels natural. I'm like I'm scared, but this is happening and it's going to happen when it does. And then that's when the best things turn out for me.
Hi, it's Casey, who is currently editing the podcast. I'm going to delete a section out of the podcast because I was talking about something really personal that I don't want the whole world to hear. But Emma did give me some really good advice, so I'm going to leave the advice part in here in case it resonates with anyone else. But I just wanted to explain why there might be a weird jump and why you might not understand what's going on. I'm realizing I have so much I need to work on.
It's like life comes back to trigger you. Like that's what we're meant to do is get triggered over and over and repeat the same cycles over and over until we can find our way out.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because sometimes you know what you need to do, but what you need to do feels uncomfortable to do. And you have all these beliefs about, like, what kind of person you're going to be if you make the decision in your gut that you need to do. And so then you just procrastinate it and you ruminate over it, like for so long until you're finally like, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off.
Yeah, and we both know that the universe will keep giving signs over and over until it's actually there's literally no other way.
Yeah.
And maybe I even said this in a previous episode, but I've just really been taking this into consideration a lot because I'm like very I get paralyzed by making decisions and I always overanalyze every decision I make and then I always am contemplating if I made the wrong decision. But this has been giving me a little more comfort for those that are like me. Nothing that is meant for you is going to pass you by. Anything that's not meant for you is never going to find you, basically. So, like, no matter what decision you make is the right way to go because it's literally the only way you're going. Because we all, I don't know, there's this, I think it's Sylvia Plath, The Bell Jar. She has a little bit in that book about she's looking at a fig tree and she's contemplating which fig she wants to choose to eat. And it's like life, like you're looking at a tree. Do I want to be an artist? Do I want to work in, like, be a nurse? And you're staring. Olive!
Hi, Olive.
So, yeah, you're staring at this tree, thinking of all the possibilities of what you want to be or how your life could go. And you're so paralyzed by this indecision that you just don't do any of it. And then the fruit starts to rot and fall from the tree, and then you don't get to eat any of it. That's just how I feel. Like every day, I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this, 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 and this, like all in one. Like, I wish I could have a farm. I wish I could, be a musician. I wish I could make movies. I wish I could do this and that. And it's like, but then if you don't take action, just pick one and take action on it, you're never going to do any of them. And so that's wasted potential.
And it could be that you can do those things in the future too. Like if you're meant to do it, then maybe it's just gonna come later in the future, but like pick one and just go for it.
Exactly. So that's why I try to tell myself that a lot. Like, I can't just be sitting here paralyzed by all the potential and all the ideas I have, but then not pick one or take action on it. It's like, I don't know which one is the right one. I don't think any of them are right or wrong. I think you just have to go with one and go full force with it and commit to it. And if it doesn't work out, then you can always revisit and pick another one. But I don't think anything that's truly meant for you is going to pass you up. Like, you will find what you're looking for.
I agree. I think that's a good note to end this episode on.
Yeah.
Also, I look really cute. Who would break up with me? I'm adorable.
Their loss.
Well, thank you for listening. I felt like this episode was really insightful for at least me. I hope it was insightful for some of you and inspired you to take action and to be less scared of life and your potential. If you want to add us on social media, it's in the description. We have a Reddit page, which honestly, I'm done with the Reddit page. We're not doing the Reddit page anymore. I'm done with the Reddit page. It's too much. We don't have a Reddit page anymore that is going to be updated. But if you want to answer some of our old questions, you can. We will see you the Tuesday after the next Tuesday. Oh, well, in question to ponder.
What are some concrete, tangible changes that you can make in your day-to-day life to move towards your new reality and the person that you want to be?
Okay, bye. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you soon.
Peace out.